My name is Nicole Harrington. I am 33 years old. And on a Tuesday morning in September, I was standing in the lobby of a building I had designed, reviewing the dedication plaque on the north wall, when the main doors opened, and my sister Madison walked through them, with her husband beside her, with two moving coordinators following behind, with a floor plan rolled under her arm. She stopped when she saw the plaque. She looked at it for a long time. Then she looked up. And she found me, standing 12 feet away, in the lobby of the building I had designed, with my name on the wall. But that is not where this story begins. This story begins a long time before that morning, before the building, before the plaque, before the dedication ceremony, and the mayor and the managing partner, and all the things that come at the end of 3 years of work. This story begins at a Sunday dinner table in Indianapolis, Indiana, where I first learned the difference between being loved and being considered. But before I go any further, welcome to Velvet Revenge Stories. This channel is for women who were told they would make things dramatic, who were left out of rooms because someone decided the room looked better without them. If someone once handed you an exclusion and called it a favor, this one is for you. Drop a comment below, subscribe, and stay with me, because I didn't plan that Tuesday morning. I simply showed up to do my job, the way I had always done, the way I had always been going to. I need to back up all the way to a garage in Indianapolis, Indiana, where a man named Harold Harrington spent 39 years building things. My grandfather, he had 11 patents, not household names, not the kind that end up on magazine covers, the kind that live inside other things. A tension mechanism in a medical device, a compression method in early data storage, a sealing process used in aerospace components that is still in production today. He was a quiet man. He was the kind of man who understood that the loudest thing you can do is build something that lasts. He gave me a drafting pencil the summer I was 12 years old, a Stettler Mars lomograph, 9H graphite, cream and red barrel, worn smooth on the edges. From 40 years in a shirt pocket, he pressed it into my palm on a Sunday afternoon in his garage, and he looked at me with the specific attention of a man who has decided which person in the room most needs to hear what he is about to say. He said, "This is the first thing a good architect holds, before the software, before the models, before everything else. Just a pencil and what you see in your mind." I was 12 years old. I did not fully understand everything he was telling me, but I held onto the pencil. I have held onto it every year since. Top right drawer of my desk. I haven't used it in years, but I keep it. Because some things you keep, not because they are useful, but because they are true. My mother, Carol, is 61 years old. She is the kind of woman who loves both her children, genuinely and deeply. But she loves one of them the way you love a certainty, and the other, she loves the way you love a concern. I was the concern. I had been the concern since my sister Madison discovered at 14 that the world would arrange itself for her if she simply gave it time. Madison is 30 years old. She arrived into this family with my mother's features and my father's confidence and the particular gift of making every room feel like it had been waiting for her. Before she entered, she married a man named Brett Collins when she was 27. Brett runs a regional marketing firm. He is charming in the specific way of a man who has learned that charm is more efficient than sincerity. I met him 4 times before the wedding. I liked him 3 of those times. The 4th time was when I found out I wasn't invited to the wedding. Let me tell you what I do. I am a senior project lead at Harrington and Boss Architecture in Chicago. Yes, that Harrington. My grandfather built the firm in 1972. I joined at 24. I became senior project lead at 29. I specialize in commercial design, office buildings, corporate campuses, mixed-use developments. The kind of structures that take 3 years to build and stand for 50. My family knows I am an architect. My mother introduces me at gatherings with a phrase I have heard for 7 years. Nicole does buildings. She says it warmly. She means it kindly. But Nicole does buildings, said quickly and moved past, does not exactly announce. The person who designed the Meridian Tower on the downtown Indianapolis riverfront, or the Callaway corporate campus in suburban Chicago, or, as of 8 months ago, the Ashford Commerce Center on North Michigan Avenue. That last one is relevant. That last one is very relevant. The call about the wedding came on a Wednesday evening in March. My mother called at 7:15. She had the particular hesitation of a woman who has rehearsed what she needs to say and still isn't sure how to start it. She said, "Honey, about Madison's wedding." I said, "What about it?" She said, "The venue is very small." She said it again. Very small. The way people repeat things they know aren't landing, but don't have anything better to offer. I said, "How many people?" She said, "About 220. 220 people." And I wasn't one of them. My mother said, "Madison is worried about the dynamic." She said it carefully. The way people describe a weather condition, instead of a decision someone made. She said, "You know how Madison feels when the attention shifts." She said, "She thinks you would make it." About yourself, Nicole. I held the phone. I looked at my desk, at the pencil in the top right drawer, at the model of the Ashford, still in progress at the time, sitting on the corner of my drafting table. I said, "I understand, Mom." And I meant it. Not the excuse. The arrangement underneath the excuse. The one that had been in place since Madison was 12, and the world had quietly reorganized itself around the person who needed it more. I said, "Tell Madison I'm happy for her." I sent a gift, a set of handmade Italian linen towels, and a note with one sentence, "Wishing you both every happiness." I signed my name. I sealed the envelope, and I went back to the Ashford, because the work doesn't stop. It never stops. You simply hold all of it and keep going. The Ashford Commerce Center Commission came in that same spring. A commercial development firm out of Chicago. 12-story mixed-use tower on North Michigan Avenue. The developer said he wanted a lobby that would make people stop when they walked in. I was assigned as project lead. I spent 4 months on the concept alone, not the technical drawings. The concept. My grandfather used to say, every building has a sentence. One sentence that describes what it is and why it exists. The Ashford sentence was this: a place where people arrive with purpose and leave knowing they accomplished something. That sentence drove every decision. The height of the ceilings, generous but not overwhelming. The north wall, curved glass, pulling the city light in at a specific angle. We tested 17 times. The lobby materials, white limestone and brushed steel, warm underfoot, cool to the eye. Everything at once. The kind of balance that takes years to learn how to create. The building opened in January. The dedication ceremony was attended by the mayor and 3 city council members and the developer's full board. I stood at the back. The building is the front. I am the person who made it possible. My name went on the dedication plaque on the north wall of the lobby. Design lead, Nicole Harrington, AI. Harrington and Voss Architecture. I looked at it once, the morning of the ceremony. Then I went back to work, because there was already a next project. There is always a next project. 8 months passed. The Ashford was fully leased by spring. Medical offices, tech firms, financial services. 14 floors. Every unit occupied. The 14th floor went to a regional marketing company, expanding their Chicago presence. The lease was signed in April. Moving day was scheduled for September. I had seen the company name on the list. Collins Brand Strategy. I had moved past it. I had not put it together. Collins. Brett Collins. My brother-in-law. The man Madison had married. In a venue that held 220 people. and somehow couldn't find room for me. I found out on a Monday morning, when my assistant sent the weekly tenant overview. Tuesday, 9 a.m. Collins Brand Strategy. 14th floor walkthrough. I looked up the company. Collins Brand Strategy. Indianapolis-based. Expanded to Chicago. 2024. Founder and CEO, Brett Collins. COO, Madison Collins, née Harrington. I sat with that for a very long time. Not with anger. Not with the particular pleasure some people imagine you feel in moments like this. With the quiet, precise feeling of a woman looking at a set of facts that have just revealed something she hadn't known she was building toward. I hadn't designed the Ashford for this moment. I hadn't put my name on the plaque for this moment. I had done it because it was my job, and I was very good at my job. But the moment was there anyway, waiting for 9 a.m. on a Tuesday. In September, I considered sending a note, a heads up, something professional and brief. I decided against it. Not because I wanted the surprise, because there was nothing to prepare them for. There was only a building, and a plaque, and a woman who showed up every morning to do her work. That was all it had ever been. Tuesday morning, 9 a.m. I arrived at the Ashford at 8:45. I had a review meeting at 9:30 for a separate project. I was in the lobby going over materials with my junior designer when the main doors opened. At 9:17, I heard Madison before I saw her. She has a way of entering rooms, a particular gathering of energy. In the 2 seconds before she speaks, I had known that energy my entire life. I looked up. She came through the door with Brett beside her, 2 moving coordinators behind them. A floor plan rolled under her arm. She was already speaking, mid-sentence, mid-plan, the way Madison always arrives. Then she looked at the north wall, at the curved glass, pulling the morning light in, the way I had calculated, at the limestone and the brushed steel, at the dedication plaque. She stopped, mid-sentence. Her voice just stopped. Brett kept walking 2 steps before he realized she wasn't beside him. He stopped too. They both looked at the plaque. Design lead, Nicole Harrington, AI. Then Madison looked up, and she found me, 12 feet away, standing in the lobby of the building I designed, with my name on the wall behind me. I looked at my sister. She looked at me. I kept my expression the way I keep it at all professional site visits. Calm, present, in possession of every fact in the room. She said my name, Nicole. Her voice came out differently than I had heard it in a long time. Not the performance, not the social ease, just her voice, just my sister. I said, Madison, welcome to the Ashford. She said, you designed this building. I said, yes. She said, the whole thing. I said, the whole thing. Brett looked at the plaque, then at me, then at Madison. He had the expression of a man processing several things at once, and not quite reaching any of them. Madison looked at the lobby. Really looked. The way you look at something when you have stopped performing looking and started actually doing it. She turned slowly. She took in the ceiling, the curve of the north glass, the way the light came through. At that specific angle, she turned back to me. Her voice came out quiet, not performing quiet, just quiet. She said, this is extraordinary. I said, thank you. She said, how long did it take? I said, 3 years. Concept through completion. She absorbed that. 3 years. The same 3 years that had passed since her wedding, since the very small venue, since the dynamic she had been worried about. She said, I didn't know. I said, I know. She said, Mom said you did buildings. The pause that followed was the length of 33 years. I said, I do buildings. Then I turned to my junior designer, who had been studying his materials with the focused professionalism of a man who understood. He was standing in the middle of something he hadn't been briefed on. And I said, let's go check the 4th floor glazing before the 9:30. He nodded. We walked to the elevator. I pressed 4. The doors closed. I did not look back. Some things you don't need to watch. You've already seen them. You built them. 3 years ago. The 9:30 meeting ran until noon. When I came back through the lobby, at 12:15, Madison was still there. Not moving things. Not reviewing the floor plan. She was sitting on the limestone bench. Along the south wall. The one I had specified. At exactly 44 centimeters. Because that is the height at which a person instinctively sits to rest. Not to wait. She was resting. In a lobby I built. I almost walked past. I considered it for 2 full seconds. Then I sat down beside her. Not close, but beside her. The way sisters sit. When they are not performing being sisters. When they are just 2 people who grew up in the same house and ended up in the same lobby. On a Tuesday in September, she said, "I should have invited you." I said, "Yes." She said, "Mom said you'd understand." I said, "I did understand. That's not the same as it being right." She looked at her hands. She said, "I was afraid." I said, "Of what?" She said, "That you'd be better at it. At everything. You always are." I held that. The way you hold something. When you have been waiting to hear it. For so long. That when it finally arrives. You're not sure what to do. With the receiving of it. I said, "Madison. Being good at something. Is not a threat to you. It never was." She looked at me. Her eyes were bright. Not crying. Just bright. The way eyes get. When a person has been holding. A very specific tension. For a very long time. And has just released it. She said, "I know that now." I said, "Okay." She said, "I'm sorry about the wedding." I said, "I know you are." She said, "You're not going to make this dramatic. Are you?" I said, "Madison. I have never made anything dramatic. In my life. What I do is make things. And then I make sure. They can hold the weight. Of everything that happens inside them." She looked around the lobby. At the building. At the thing I had spent 3 years. Making. She said, "Including this." I said, "Including this." A silence moved through the lobby. Good silence. The kind that has been earned. She called my mother that evening. I know because my mother called me. 20 minutes later. Her voice had the particular texture of a woman processing something she had not anticipated. She said, "Nicole." I said, "Mom." She said, "The building." I said, "Yes." She said, "Madison said it is the most beautiful space she has ever been in." I said, "Thank you." She said, "I didn't know." I said, "You didn't ask." She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "No, I suppose I didn't." I said, "It's okay, Mom." She said, "I don't think it is." I said, "Okay, it's not okay, but it's where we are. And where we are is still somewhere we can work from." She said, "Are you happy?" I looked at my desk. At the pencil in the top right drawer. The Stettler Mars Lomograph. 9H graphite. Cream and red barrel. I said, "Yes. I'm doing exactly what I was always going to do. I just did it without anyone watching." She was quiet. Then she said, "Your grandfather would have been so proud." I said, "I know." She said, "He always said you were the one who understood buildings." I said, "He said everyone understands buildings. He said the question is whether you understand what they are trying to be." She said, "He was right." I said, "He was always right. Like they always say, the room that didn't invite you is never the most important room. The most important room is the one you build, built on solid ground, designed to hold the weight of everything that happens inside it." Madison's company moved in on a Thursday, the 14th floor, on the Monday after they moved in. She sent me a message. She said, "The light on the 14th floor, at 8 in the morning, is the best thing I've ever worked in." I said, "It's the same light that's in the lobby. I calculated it the same way." She said, "How?" I said, "I knew what the building was trying to be." She sent back one word. "Teach me." I smiled. I picked up the drafting pencil from the top right drawer. I turned it once in my fingers. I set it back down. Then I sent back. Come to my office Thursday. We'll start from the beginning. She replied in 30 seconds. I'll be there. My name is Nicole Harrington. I am 33 years old. I am the design lead at Harrington and Voss Architecture. I have a drafting pencil in my top right drawer that I haven't used in years, and a building on North Michigan Avenue with my name on the wall. I didn't build it to be found. I built it because it was mine to build, and because every building has a sentence. Mine was this: a place where people arrive with purpose and leave knowing they accomplished something. My sister works there now, every morning at 8. In the light, I calculated, and she says it's the best thing she's ever worked in. That is my story. One building, one plaque, one Tuesday morning, when the person who decided the room was better without me walked through the door I made and found me already in it. If this reminded you to keep building, regardless of who is watching, share this with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment. Tell me what moment hit you hardest. Hit subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.